My channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this three-piece corset. So the first thing we're going to start with is just to rule a straight line at the top of our paper to know that this is our starting point. After that, we are going to go ahead and insert our shoulder measurement divided by 2. So my shoulder is 16, divided by 2 is 8. And then on that same line, I'm going to come down here 1 inch of shoulder slope, right? And once I've marked that, I'm going to go ahead and insert my armhole divided by 2, which is 9. And if you don't know how to calculate your armhole, you can do your round your bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. That will give you your armhole. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is just to connect this straight line together, these 2 points together. So now that I've done that, the next thing is to go ahead and mark my neckline, basic neckline of 3 inches. After that, I'm also going to connect from this point the shoulder slope to my neckline. I'm going to connect these two. Once I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and insert my shoulder to my so now this line is going to be your chest line. Your armhole line is normally called your chest line. The next line I'm going to insert now is going to be my bust line, which is my shoulder to my nipple. And then the next one is my shoulder to my under bust. And then the next one I'm going to insert now is my shoulder to my waist. So I'm going to rule all these lines across. So guys, this is our chest line, our bust line, and then our waist, our under bust, and then our waistline, right? So now that we've done that, the next thing we have to do is just to go ahead, find the center of this our sleeve, the halfway through for me, which is going to be 4.5 because the full length is 9. And then I'm going to go in 1/2 inch on this line, connect it with a straight line here, and then. So guys, after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to insert my bust measurement divided by 4 on this my chest line. And then once I've done that, I'm now going to use a curve to connect these 2 lines together. So guys, now that I've connected it, the next thing I'm going to do is to divide my nipple to nipple measurement by 2 plus like 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark that here. So my nipple to nipple measurement for me is 8 plus divided by 2 is 4 plus 1/2 inch is 5. I'm just going to go ahead and mark that here. And then also mark that down here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just to connect these 3 lines together. Once that is done, I'm going to take my measurement from my under bust to my bust line to my under bust, which is 4 inches. That's from this line to this line. 4 inches is what I have. Whatever you have on yours, then take it and mark it. You can use a compass to make a circle, with this being your center point, and then you're just going to make a circle all the way around that way. So guys, you see, I took this measurement and I made a circle all the way like this. You see, so once you've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is this my chest line. I'm just going to extend it because I'll be needing it, but I don't want to make the mark so visible. So I'm just going to rule a line across like this, so I'll know where my chest line is. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do now in between this line, so like mark 0.75 away from this point and 0.75 away from this point. In total, I'm splitting 1.5 in between this. That's away from my nipple to nipple line. So guys, now that I've marked it, I'm going to connect the 2 together this way, and then connect the other one together this way. And then after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to come down on this line by 0.75 again, right? And then I'm going to now use my curved ruler to connect the 2 lines together from this point to this point here. And then I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing on the other side too. So guys, once you've done this now, you've connected this, the next thing we are going to do is to go up to your shoulder. Find halfway through your shoulder measurements. For me, that's 5. That's after you've taken away these 3 inches. Find halfway through this your shoulder slope. For me, I have 5 here. Half of it is 2.5. I'm now going to connect that 2.5 to this line, to this point here. Once you've connected this line, the next thing you're going to do, you know this one, basically guys, what you're doing at the top of this part here is, instead of doing 1.5 on this top, what you're going to do is mark 0.75 on this side, the side on the inner part, and then just mark 1.25 on this part. That's the whole point of what I just said now. Mark 1.25 on the outer part and 0.75 on the inner part. Once you've marked that on this line that you used to make that circle, connect it to this your bust line. Connect it this way. right? You're going to connect it and then tilt your ruler again and connect it all again to your bust point. So that's basically it. I'm going to use a marker so it's more visible. Guys, remember when we marked, now that we've done that, remember when we marked our chest line here, right? This is our chest line, which is the extension of this line here. Remember when we marked that line, right? That I said I didn't want to make it really visible. If you want, you can use that as where your bust point, the neckline is going to start. But I'm going to come down half an inch from that line, right? I'm going to mark half an inch from that line, from this point half an inch, and then I'm also going to go in by half an inch also. Right, I'm going to also go in half an inch on that line. So once I've done that, now the next thing I'm going to do is to connect from this point now. I'm going to connect it to this side using my curved ruler. So you see, I've marked that now. The next thing I'm going to do is to also, on this part now, this is my chest line, this part of my armhole, from this point to this point, I'm going to find halfway through. So I'm going to measure what I have here. So for me, I have 2.5. I'm just going to fold my tape just so I can know what half of it is going to be. So half of it is somewhere here. So you're going to find half measurements of this part here. Whatever it is, mark it. And then on that point, you're going to come down half an inch from that point, right? So I've done that now. I'm also going to rule a line here. So guys, but now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark from this point here. Like this point here. Remember, you found halfway through this armhole line and then you came down half an inch from there. What you're going to do now is just to connect from that point, this point now, to this one. Now that we've marked that, the next one we are going to mark is now to connect from this point here, this one to this one here. I'm just going to connect that now. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to connect from this point to this point here. Guys, you see, our corset is almost done. Now that you've done that, the next thing we are going to do is to just go ahead, mark 2 inches down from this 2 inches down from this line, and then 2 inches down from this line, right? 2 inches down that's from this point now to this point. From this is 2 inches, and then you're also going to come down here also 2 inches. But the inner ones, what you're going to do is to mark 2.5. So I'm going to come down here 2.5, and then on the other side I'm also going to mark 2.5. And then once you've done that, all you have to do is also again with your curved ruler connect the 2 lines together. Connect this side to this side, and then I'm going to also blend this one, turn this around so you can connect it to the other side. So I'm going to connect from here to here now. I don't know if you guys can see. So I connected this one to this one, this one to this one. So now you see we have our 3-piece corset. All we have to do now is to just go ahead and insert our measurements this way. And then these 2 parts at the top, we are going to be gluing it together. So basically this top part is going to be 1, then there's 2 and 3. That's our 3-part corset. So let's just go ahead and insert all our measurements now. So first we are going to do our bust measurement divided by 4, which for me was 10.5, right? I'm going to mark that, and then I'm also going to insert back these 2 inches here. I'm going to bring it down here and mark it. So that's going to be about, so guys, I'm just going to go ahead and insert that 2 inches back like I said, and then I'm also going to add my 1.5 inch of sewing allowance, or if you want you can do 1 inch of sewing allowance. I'm going to do the same thing on my underbust. Divided by 4 is going to give me 9. I'm going to put back this 1.5 that we used here, and then I'm going to mark that, and then I'm also going to insert 1.5 of sewing allowance. The same thing on my waist. My waist divided by 4 is going to give me 8.5. Mark it. Put back this 1.5 that we took away here, mark that, and then I'm also going to now insert again 1.5 of sewing allowance. That's basically it. All I have to do now is just to connect all my sides together, right? These 3 points together. This is going to be my side with the sewing allowance, which is here. So that's basically what your corset is going to look like. Guys, if I was trying to make this in form of a basic top, right? Let's say I brought down, I want my basic part to be up to 7 inches down to here. All I have to do now is just to extend this dart all the way down, extend my dart all the way down like this, and then I'm going to come down maybe 2 inches from my waist, and then I'm going to blend it down into this basic part, and that will be my basic top, right? Just extend your dart all the way down, or whatever length you're trying to make it into. So this is basically it. I'm going to also go ahead and draw a basic back panel here. Now, the next thing for the back, all you have to do, guys, what I'm drawing here is just the basic bodies, but instead, what I'm going to do, you see, I've drawn in my shoulder measurement divided by 2. This is going to be my zipper allowance, right? I started here to put in my shoulder measurement, everything, and then the next thing I'm going to do is to insert my bust measurement divided by 4, plus extra 1.5 of sewing allowance like we did for the front. If you did 1 inch of sewing allowance in front, do the same for the back. Then the next thing I'm going to insert is my bust, my waist measurement, because this is the waistline, divided by 4. Mark that here, and then I'm going to add 1 inch of darting, and then 1.5 inch of sewing allowance. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and mark the two of them together this way, right? If you're wondering why I marked this half an inch here, this red line that you're seeing here, this red line is because, remember, in the front panel here, we came down half an inch for our side, this side, which is now our new armhole. So the two sides, the side of the front and the back, will meet each other. So one thing you want is for the two of them to be the same length. I can't be using this length here up to my chest line as my armhole, as the length of the back, and then in front I already came down 1 inch, so I have to bring it down so that the two side seam will be the same length. So now this is now my new back length here. I'm just going to mark it straight all the way to this point, you see. And then the next thing I have to do is just to insert my dart, which is going to be my nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus half an inch, so that's going to be 4.5. I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides of the dart, and then I'm going to take that half an inch all the way up to the top. But before that, I'm also going to bring up that 4.5 here, so I will have my straight line in the center. And then once I have my straight line, I can now connect the two darts together to meet each other at the top, like this. So this is basically what the back panel would look like. And then you can also go ahead and insert just your basic armhole like this, because the back doesn't have like you don't have to do the same thing in front. Just this basic armhole works for the back. So guys, that's basically all you have to do. Now the next thing you can do is also go back in now and add half an inch of sewing allowance if you're trying to join it to a bottom part, right? You need your half an inch of sewing allowance. So I'm also going to add half an inch of sewing allowance, because this is not for a basic top, this is for a just like to attach it to something. So that's basically it. All I have to do now is this one piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Even start cutting, remember to name yours. So the top one, I'm going to just name it so this is my center one, and these two are going to be facing each other at this point, right? Center side one, which is the upper one, right? Side one. And then the next thing I'm going to name it is this one is going to be my center again, but this one is center number 2, and then outer part number 3. So just like that, and this is going to be 4, and then this is going to be 5. But these sides are the body. So now once you've named them, you are going to start cutting it out. You can also make an arrow here, just noting that this is going to be coming facing each other at the center. But these two now, we are going to be tracing it out on a paper once you cut out the darts. Here, so guys, once you finish, you can cut out the center. You can go ahead and just use tape to hold it down together, and then you can trace it out on another paper so that you know that this is now one piece. Or if you feel like the glue that is holding it is good enough, you can still stick with the one that you cut initially. But I also cut this one, and if I want, I can just name it top one, like the top one, and it's going to be facing this way, because these are just the sides, right? These sides are just the sides. Or you can still stick to this one here. It depends on you, but the two of them, I retraced it, are still the same pattern, are still the same. I use this one to trace this one. So that's basically what the front panel looks like. And you see my back panel is this one here, you see, and then this is my back panel, just like this. So guys, we are going to be using this in subsequent videos, though that is why I wanted to make a video, so that you guys can see, like, get the idea of what a corset looks like. So once you go to trace this, you're going to be tracing it with seam allowance on the inside, like this, all over. Seam allowance here, seam allowance here, because this seam allowance you have here is just for the side. So every other thing here, you will need seam allowance on the inside of it. So that's basically it here. So thank you guys so much for your time, and I will see you in the next one.